To the Buddha I return and rely, vowing that all living beings profoundly understand the great way and bring forth the Bodhi mind. To the Dharma I return and rely, vowing that all living beings deeply enter the sutra and have wisdom like the sea. To the Sangha I return and rely, vowing that all living beings apply love and compassion to all. So it seems it's spring. Now, I suppose you don't want to say that too loud. But over time, it's getting warmer and warmer. And I'm hearing people talk about planting gardens, preparation for gardens, scooping out what was there and getting it prepared to plant. I know around here, there's been discussion. There's Venerable and what she would like to see and what she imagines. And then there's everybody else. And then we have Jane, our landscaper, who's got an eye for those things. And last year we had quite a garden that needed tended to. And it came in, the flowers came in here to our altars. So the Buddha talks often about planting, talks about planting seeds for gardens of our own gardens, tending to the soil. So I'm wondering today how your garden is being tended to. What are you cultivating? Have you thought about it recently? Have you considered what cultivating means to you? Where does it show up? What does it mean? What does it mean? And how is it going? What are you noticing? And we talk about, wow, we feel like we really are making progress. Venerable talks about that, making progress. But what about you? Where do you see your progress? What do you experience with that progress? We talk about cultivation. We talk about it when we're doing our Dharma studies. Talk about it when someone's sitting here, me or Venerable, or Pasita, Joe, talk about cultivation. But what does it really mean to you? What does it really mean to you? So what I want to do is talk about cultivation. And I don't want it to necessarily mean I'm going to talk to you about your cultivation. During this next 45 minutes, 50 minutes, I'm going to invite you to experience what's going on for you. This is not a Soma espousing your cultivation. I have no idea what that is. I experience it when I see you. I experience it when we have these gatherings. But that's only several hours a week. There's a lot of hours that go on after that. So that's where we're going to head. And the Buddha taught, Shakyamuni Buddha taught, that spiritual cultivation through practices like meditation, ethical conduct, is crucial to refining the mind. Now that's words again that Venerable keeps talking about. It's all words. But that's what his intention was, or one of his intentions, to achieve enlightenment through cultivation, to achieve freedom from suffering. If you had a line, we use that a lot in education, where we saw what kind of progress is being made. And you can see it. I often would bring them into our meetings when we were talking about children. You see, oh, no, the attendance is going up. The issues are going down. And then we had to ask, so what? So what? What's different? So what's different for you compared to 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? What's different? Do you know? Have you spent time really noticing the distance, the traveling? Buddha says it's critical. Cultivation is critical for us to get to that end game. My end game is I sure want freedom from suffering. And wouldn't it be great not to have to come back around to do the same old thing again? But as we were talking the other day, wouldn't it be great to come back and be in such a different place? That could be real joyful instead of, oh my God, I got to do. No, not doing this again, going from here forward. Sometimes we say, oh, I got to start all over again. Well, I don't believe we ever start all over again if we're really paying attention. If we're really paying attention. Because that statement and that belief system brings us back and doesn't allow for where we're really operating for right now. But only you can know that, where that line has grown to. Buddhist teachings emphasize that spiritual growth is a process of cultivating positive qualities, and reducing negative ones, much like tending a garden. Pull out those weeds so that the flowers have room to grow. We take off leaves that are dried up and no longer of use so that the others can flourish. And isn't that what we're doing? Isn't that what you're doing? But how are you doing it? What does that look like to you? When do you notice it? So the goal of cultivation, the ultimate goal, is to achieve enlightenment, right? To get us there. Liberation of suffering and getting rid of that cycle of rebirth. So in the beginning we say, and you probably do in your practices, to the Buddha I return and rely, to the Dharma I return and rely, to the Sangha I return and rely. Do you really? When do you do that? When do I do it? So this last couple of weeks, cultivation and even that, I've gone into some deep inquiry around that. What does it really mean for me? And how do I practice it? How do I step it out? And is it authentic? Is it real? The Buddha's teachings, collectively known as the Dharma, provide us guidance. It tells us how to. When we do our Dharma studies, just our guidelines right there, paragraph after paragraph after paragraph, the how to. It doesn't have to be a mystery to us. It doesn't have to be a mystery if we practice it, if we attend to it, like we attend to the garden. Or attend to someone that's not feeling well. Or when your Dharma talk disappears because the computer once again does what it does, and I have to go to a Sangha member to help me. And come to find out, it was really gone. And so, how do I tend to being with you today? Knowing I had some things I really wanted to share and to throw out what was there, which was, by the way, pretty good. To the Dharma, I return and rely. How do you do that? Do you do that? When do you do it? What does that look like for you? So the Dharma gives us guidance, meaningful and fulfilling guidance. Helps us understand the nature of reality. Because as ordinary beings, we're climbing up the mountain. Buddha Master gave us a full teaching on cultivation. And we were lucky enough to have Joe guide us through that book. And I looked it up, and in the imparting, there's at least 300, if not more, references to cultivation. So it's not like it's something that was just done in a book and laid down. He's telling us something. He's saying, this is important. And if you don't get it, if there's no sense of urgency to get it, then we're going to be doing what we've always done. I used to say that all the time when I was in the schools. If you always do what you've always done, you always get what you always got. Now that's still true today, but I catch myself sooner. Oh, there I go doing that again. And I do not want to get what I always got. So what are you going to do differently? I say to myself. And to the Sangha, I return and rely. And I want to say a little bit more about that because we're small, but we're mighty. I said that when I went and did a Dharma talk up in Johnson City a few weeks ago. They're small, but they're mighty. I said, just like us, just like us. Why are we mighty? What creates a Sangha that is mighty, powerful, strong? Well, I want to remind us that Upada Sutta, which we've all heard more than once, but I'm going to share it. It's short one more time. The Upada Sutta is half. I've heard that on one occasion, the Blessed One was living among the Sakyans. Now there is a Sakyan town named Sakkara. There, Venerable Ananda went to the Blessed One, and on arrival, having bowed down to the Blessed One, sat to one side. As he was sitting there, Venerable Ananda said to the Blessed One, "This is half the holy life, Lord. Admirable friendship, admirable companionship, admirable camaraderie." That's what I feel. Admirable friendship, admirable companionship, admirable camaraderie. Don't say that, Ananda. Don't say that. Admirable friendship, admirable companionship, admirable camaraderie is actually the whole of the holy life. When a monk has admirable people as friends, or the lay folks, companions and comrades, he can be expected to develop and pursue the Noble Eightfold Path. And how does a monk who has admirable people as friends, companions, and comrades develop and pursue the Noble Eightfold Path? There is the case where a monk develops right view dependent on seclusion, dependent on dispassion, dependent on cessation, resulting in relinquishment. He develops right resolve, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, dependent on seclusion, dependent on dispassion, dependent on cessation, resulting in relinquishment. This is how a monk who has admirable people as friends, companions, and colleagues develops and pursues the Noble Eightfold Path. And through this line of reasoning, the Buddha corrects Ananda. Now remember, he's speaking to Ananda and the disciples, the monks. But if Buddha was sitting right here, he'd be speaking to his disciples, which are all of us, all of us. And through this line of reasoning, one may know how admirable friendship, admirable companionship, admirable camaraderie is actually the whole of the holy life. It is the dependence on me as an admirable friend that being subject to birth have gained release from birth, that being subject to aging has gained release from aging, that being subject to death has gained release from death, that being subject to sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair have gained release from sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair. Is that what our life is? A lot of it can be sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair. It is through this line of reasoning that one may know how admirable friendship, admirable companionship, admirable camaraderie is actually the whole of the holy life. You heard his Dharma talk this morning already. So this sutta points out that it's not only associating with good people, but also learning from them, emulating their good qualities. That's my experience. What's yours? What's yours? Do you feel it when you're with admirable friends? What's your experience? When I mentioned it, there were smiles that came up, just thinking of it. You refer to admirable friends and comrades as Kalyana Maitra. And that's not just any old pal that you hang out with. It's virtuous friends, someone who uplifts your path to higher levels of ethical and spiritual well-being. That's a spiritual friend. In this particular case with the sutra, the Buddha skillfully removed Ananda's ideas that it's half the holy life. And he said, it's the whole. It's the whole. Spiritual friendship is the path. The practice of Sangha building may be considered a long story of spiritual friendships, woven together like threads in a scarf. For anyone that wants to build a happy and thriving Sangha, which we do, the key is growing beloved friendships. Cultivation. It just doesn't happen. It takes work. It takes awareness. It takes intention, willingness, respect. It just doesn't happen. Along with the Sangha is the teacher-student relationship. The teacher's job is to show you the possibility of presence, the possibility of presence, to train you in, or train us in the techniques and methods that we need to go along on this path, and to direct our attention to internal patterns that come up in our life. The teacher notices that. That's their job. That's what Buddha did with Ananda. No, Ananda, no. It's this. It's not this. It's not always pretty when you get that correction. It's not always easy when you get that correction. But it's needed to stay on the path. The student, us, what's our job? It's to practice what is taught and what is given. It's cultivation. As Venerable has said, and we say, if you only come here and walk out and leave what you got here, it's not working. often say, leave when you arrive, leave what was out there, and come in prepared to receive the Dharma. Our job is to take what is given and to walk it out. It's to apply the practices to life. It's cultivation. That word keeps coming up over and over and over again. So what is cultivation? This is Joe's quiz that he will give us. What is cultivation? We studied it, we talk about it, we hear about it. Not necessary. So this is the book, we all remember it, right? Hopefully you all have one. If you don't, we have plenty of copies that we brought back from California. I'm just going to remind us what is cultivation. To understand what cultivate, and this is from the Dharma of Cultivation by Buddha Master. To understand what is cultivation is, you must understand the 8 fundamental right views relating to learning Buddhism and cultivation. The 8 fundamental right views. When was the last time you paid attention to those 8 views? In your reflection of the day, did you say, how was my cultivation? Am I practicing those right views? Because they're our guide. Once again, it's a guide. It helps us. So we don't have to be wandering in the desert for all those days and nights. Right there. The first one is a mind of impermanence. Now we talk about that all the time, just like we talk about cultivation. What is impermanence? How do you manage that? In the last month, I lost through death 2 people that I was close to in different ways. Impermanence. Now, I did a retreat on impermanence and death. I studied impermanence and death. I think about it every day. My brother would say, well, that's kind of dark. And I just look at him. And that's from a guy that died 4 times before they resuscitated him back into life. It's interesting. That was 5 years ago. And the first year, he didn't think it was dark. But now that it's 5 years later, that's dark. Yet he appreciates when I'm with him and my family, but mostly with him, the conversations we have. And in fact, in his dissertation, he did a line for each of us in the family, and mine was the spiritual, I forget exactly how it is, guidance that I gave him. So it wasn't without understanding or at least experiencing something. But now it's dark. Where have we gone backwards? Because if we can identify where we've kind of lost our footing, gone off the rails, we can get back on pretty quickly because of our cultivation. So the 8 fundamental right views, the first one is impermanence. The second is a mind with firm belief. Really trust this is right. I really trust that this will guide me. The third is a mind of renunciation. Not necessarily this renunciation of putting on the robes, but it's saying, I no longer need what I once did. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. Renunciation is saying, no longer necessary. The fourth is a mind with true vows. In my morning practices, I make a vow every morning. May I be of benefit and use. May I open up and have a heart that is ready for whatever I experience. The fifth is a mind of diligence. Now, if you're interested in a garden, planting a garden, you gotta be diligent. And you gotta look at the month, and you gotta look at the weather, and you gotta look at where you plant it, and there's a lot you gotta do. It's diligence, persevering. The sixth is precepts. And there are guideposts. The seventh is dhyana and samadhi. The eighth is bodhicitta. Recognizing these 8 dharmas and carrying them out with right views is correct practice of Buddha Dharma. Say that again. Recognizing these 8 dharmas and carrying them out with right views is correct practice of Buddha Dharma. Now, I'm sure none of you are saying, yeah, I know, I got that. I read that. I was in Joe's class. I read this probably every quarter, if not as a reference, because I need to be reminded. I may have shared this story with you when I first went down to Upaya for my chaplaincy, and we were doing our services. No one taught us what we had to do. And so we were all there. There were almost 20 of us, along with some of the priests and some of the lay sangha during the service. And Zen practice has a lot of forms, bowing and turning and bowing. And you start out facing the wall, and then you turn around and you do all sorts of stuff. And those of us that were brand new were turning and facing each other, which you weren't supposed to. I mean, you're going the wrong way. And we were, what's going on? And there was all sorts of things going on. And that evening, it was our first day. That evening, Roshi Joan, who was our abbot, the teacher, was coming in, and someone had just asked, can't you please teach us the forms? We don't know what we're doing. And just then she walked in, and the director of the program said, oh, Roshi, you're here. Come in. And it just so happened, I didn't really know Roshi. I read about her. I didn't have an idea of who this person was. And I was in this nice, comfortable chair. She sits right down on the arm. Okay. And they said they want to learn, they want a class on the forms on how to do the service. He said, no. We're all like, what kind of program is this that you're not going to, and Zen, that you're not going to teach us? And she just simply said, Zen mind, beginner's mind. This will be one of the only times around this topic that you'll be so attentive and so aware of what's going on, that you won't fall into routine, habitual tendency, muscle memory. Come from a beginner's mind. Diligence. Recognizing views is correct practice of Buddha Dharma. These 8 fundamental right views, which are indispensable for cultivators, must not be taken out of order. All the fruits resulting from a mind of impermanence are causes of cultivation. All the fruits resulting from a mind with firm belief are causes of steadfastness that does not change. All the fruits resulting from a mind of renunciation are causes of liberation. All the fruits resulting from a mind with true vows are causes of action. All the fruits resulting from the mind of diligence are causes of persistent advancement. All the fruits resulting from the precepts are causes of correct direction of cultivation. All the fruits resulting from dhyana and samadhi are causes of wisdom. All the fruits resulting from bodhicitta are causes leading to becoming a bodhisattva. It almost sounds like a trickle-down theory. One leads to the other. If you don't have a firm grasp on impermanence, how are you going to do the others? If you're not going to have a firm grasp, a firm belief, how are the others going to happen? If you don't have a firm grasp of renunciation, of really strongly feeling like I need to let go of this stuff I've always carried, how are the others going to be able to thrive and grow? Of true vows, diligence, precepts, dhyana, and to have bodhicitta. It takes all 8. We can't just run to the front of the line. If you don't get it, the first one, impermanence, the rest is, it's going to be unstable foundation. We talk about impermanence all the time. But really, I had to ask myself, what is this impermanence? I read every morning the preliminaries on impermanence. I often have shared, before I even got into my Kuan Yin practice, I spent 2 months with all of those, the preliminaries. So that when I got up and walked out, they were embedded in me. And still I come back to them. These 8 fundamental right views are the foundation of cultivation, liberation, and accomplishment in the Dharma. The foundation. If the root is not right, cultivation will not be established. Therefore, cultivation cannot be disorderly. Thus, practicing the 8 fundamentals of cultivation must be guided by right views. That is, guided by right understanding and right view. You correctly develop your cultivation by going through these 8 fundamentals in their proper order. That is cultivation. Your cultivation you must constantly put into practice with bodhicitta. That is because bodhicitta is the foundation for becoming a bodhisattva. How's that going for you? Venerable might say this is your come to Jesus moment. It certainly is mine. It certainly is mine. He talks about how we get wrapped up in all these other practices and all these other teachings. Over 300 references in impermanence around cultivation. Has to be important. And how do we get to cultivation? Through the fundamental right views. So I encourage all of us to be with them, not just to memorize them. I try not to memorize them because I want to be able to not rotely say them. I want to be with them. I want to hold them. I want to embrace them. Sometimes I take one and I walk out the door for my day or the store for the day. And I say, okay, firm belief. And halfway through the day, I say, how's that firm belief going? Do you still have it? Is it still there? Is it still working for you? When I got on something. So a quick little story that Venerable said that would be a good Dharma talk. As most of you know, I had pneumonia in my right middle and lower lobe. And I'd never had pneumonia before. So I didn't know, I've had a knee replacement and another knee replacement, so I kind of knew what was coming. But pneumonia. So 2 weeks and I was finally feeling like I could start getting back into doing things with some sort of low-level energy. And I ended up going to Asheville to the OT that I'm still getting for my hip. And I was coming back and I was really, it was too much. And I was driving back. I just wanted to get back. I was actually agreed to meet Busita for lunch. And I wanted to get there. And then the stop coming from Asheville to Hendersonville, the rest stop that was closed for so long, as I was coming up, the lights started going. It was a state trooper before I even got to him. And I went, oh, and I pulled over. Sure enough, it was me. I don't have time for this. I just want to go to bed. And he comes and he says, hello, you were going 72. I'm like, I think I probably was. In a work zone.
Oh.
Oh. And I'm just like, I mean, luckily there was nothing in me to do anything other than just receive. Can I see your driver's license? Get out my wallet. It's not in there. I'm looking. And I said, I don't have it. Now I'm beginning to look suspect maybe to him, but I'm clearly sick. And I'm like, I can't believe it. I said, well, and he says, I can't even remember. He went back to his car and now he's looking me up, right? And he comes back, you live on Cortland Boulevard? Yes, sir, I do. Well, and he has a little ticket in his hand. So I've been sick. I just want to get home. I was kind of trying to soak it a little bit. And he goes, I hear you, but you were in a work zone and you were going, it's 55 and you were going 72. But I'm going to cut you a deal because the price is $760, which I don't have. And he said, so I'm going to take off that it was in a work zone and drop it to 600 and something. Oh. So, okay. And I moved if you want, you can pay it by mail and goes through the whole thing, or you can go to the court date. And I moved it ahead so you can save your money. So thank you. All I could say is thank you. Thank you. Now, where's my cultivation? I'm sick. I've just been picked up. The lights are still going. What am I? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, so I got the ticket. I did have I robbed late to have lunch with Busita. By then I'm just sunk. She was very kind and gracious and helpful to me. Went to bed. I'm like, I can't believe that happened when I got done. And then I was convinced by Venerable and others that go to court. So I was telling my brother about this and he said, that day, which is May 16th, is when your niece is graduating from college. So you got to change that date. I said, can you do that? Because you can do that. So then now I'm cultivating again. Now I'm back revved up. Take a very long story, because it felt long to me, short, is I called and they had me call the DA's office. And they said, all you have to do is come in, sign in to the courtroom 1, and then you'll be in line to, so, wow, that's easy. So a week ago, I did just that. Sita was giving me some suggestions on what to say to the DA when it was my turn. Jane, who also had some issues around speeding when she had Teo, and he was brand new and he was crying and she was exhausted. And cried, and she didn't get off either. And if you can't get off for that, what can you get off with? She went to court, and so she told me her experience. So I went through the security, waited till the doors opened at 8:30, went in. She told me to get there at 8, got there. Sat in the courtroom, says criminal court. Where's my cultivation now? I am not even criminal court. I must be, and I go in and the place is full. Like, this can't be right. Don't they have a thing called traffic court or something? My little heart's pumping. This is not like anybody said it would be. There was nowhere to sign in. I don't know what, right? Where's my cultivation? Then they started going down the list of people who were there because of what they did and that they were bringing people in from the jail. Like, I don't think this is right. I don't think this is the right place. So I finally got up and left and went down and found the clerk's office. And she said, oh no, you got to sign up here, which I wasn't told. And then we put you on the docket and then, so the best time to come is a Monday or Tuesday because it gets very full the rest of the week. So last week I went back. Now I had information. We get the Dharma. I had information on how to manage this ticket. Now this is real life stuff happening, right? I get signed up. I said, now, when I went down the first time about why I said, well, I was in the criminal court. She goes, it is criminal court. And I said, am I a criminal? She goes, no, your ticket is criminal. Oh, right, information. So for a week after I called myself, I'm a criminal. I tried to find some lightness around the fact that this was happening and it feels like just one more thing.
It's amazing what we can be proud of, isn't it?
I'm a criminal. Well, definitely wasn't proud, but I was kind of trying to make light of the fact that I would be in criminal court. Went in, and sure enough, the whole process happened. Got my name, he called my name. You have to stand up and say, do you have, are you representing yourself or do you have a lawyer? I'm representing myself. But this is criminal court. So now we've got a label. Where's my cultivation? Where's my heart rate? Where's my mind? My mind is doing double time here. So then they call me up to the railing, and it's the assistant DA. And he said, now I was gonna try to plead my case. And I had the language, I had everything. And he said, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drop the price down to 300 and something, I don't know, 200 something. And can you pay that? And I'm like, wait, I was not ready for that. I was not grounded in it. I had a plan. I was gonna plead my case. That's what I was told I could do. I have language here I was gonna use. I memorized that. I was ready. Yeah.
You should also make sure that, to share that you've never had it to get in
Oh,
trouble
yeah.
70 years.
That was part of the story I was gonna share. I have never had a ticket. And-
I haven't either.
Right, so I said, I've never been here, I've never done this, I know, because I understand. I said, do I lose my points? I mean, he goes, I can't advise you legally. It was just a question. I mean, I didn't say that, I'm trying to be careful here, because I don't know what, And he said, okay, are you gonna take what I'm offering and can you pay it today? And I'm thinking credit card, yes, I can. Okay, have a seat. I'm like, that's it? You don't want to hear my story? I didn't say that either. So he goes over to talk to the person that sends it to the clerk that you go down to and then you pay. He said, I'll call your name. So so now I'm trying to catch up to what just happened because it was not how I had imagined or told. This was not Jane's story, right? I was clear about this. So now I gotta back up and catch up with myself. Before I know it, he calls my name, because you can go now, and I get up and he's right there. Standing now, it's hard to, I mean, this guy's in a three-piece suit, slick back hair, mustache, and he's about 14. So, so it's hard not to, cue in. So he's way up there by the judges thing. And I go out about a minute walk, if that, out the door, and he's standing right there in front of me. I thought, oh my God, right away in my mind, he's taking it back. He's not gonna cut me a deal. And he says, Miss Berg? I said, yes, sir. I'm dropping it.
Wow.
Now I'm trying to catch up again. You're dropping it? He goes, yes, I'm dropping it. You can go, you're free to go. Do you? So I said, well, I've never, he goes, I get it. He doesn't want any, he's just dropping. So I do this, and the guy, because he can't show any affinity, and he's got people around, he goes like this.
Oh.
You can't show-
Yeah.
I turn around and I walk. I know you can't come up the steps of the courthouse and in. You got to go down through the basement and through security. I went out, which you can go out. I stood at the top. The sun was shining. It was cold, the air, and I just smiled and I thought, wow, what a lesson. What a lesson. That's my story. What's yours? And I'm not asking for you to share it, but we all have our stories. We all have our mind-made stories. Now, this was not mind-made. It was a ticket. I had it. I had to go through all of this, but there were stories following me through the whole event. I worked hard to prepare myself for what was coming. I didn't know. I'm dropping it. You're free to go. Mind of impermanence, firm belief, renunciation, true vows, diligence, precepts, dhyana, and bodhicitta. So how do we move forward with this? I say with equanimity. Now, we all know that's part of the Brahma Viharas. And equanimity is often, if you see the list, is at the bottom, but it really needs to be at the top. Because without equanimity, and the Buddha says, it's a mind filled with abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. That's equanimity. Now, I was trying to practice that, but not very mindfully while I was in the court, because my mind was working somewhere else. The English word for equanimity translates into two separate Pali words, upekkha and tatra majahata. The more common term means to look over. Equanimity, to look over. And refers to the equanimity that arises from the power of observation. The ability to see without being caught by what we see. When well developed, such power gives rise to a great sense of peace. Equanimity. And you see how, if we're going to really practice the right views, how important that equanimity is? To do check-ins throughout our day. Where's my equanimity right now? Upekkha can also refer to the spaciousness that comes from seeing a bigger picture. In India, the word was sometimes used to mean to see with patience. To see with patience. We might understand this as seeing with understanding. Can you see how equanimity can really serve us well in practicing the right views? equanimity. The Buddha on equanimity says, as a solid mass of rock, and this is from the Dhammapada, as a solid mass of rock is not stirred by the wind, so a sage is not moved by praise and blame. As a deep lake is clear and undisturbed, so a sage becomes clear. Upon hearing the Dharma, it is clear and undisturbed, just like hearing the Dharma. Upon virtuous people always let go. They don't prattle about pleasures and desires, touched by happiness and then by suffering. The sage shows no sign of being elated or depressed. Equanimity. Right view. Mind of impermanence. Firm belief. Renunciation. True vows. Diligence. Precepts. Dhyana. Bodhicitta. Ooh. 8 views to carry us forward with equanimity. I'm going to invite us to sit with this, to meditate with the right views. Choose one, you don't have to do all, or do them all. I'll read them one more time. A mind of impermanence, firm belief, renunciation, true vows, diligence, precepts, dhyana, bodhicitta. So just settle in, consider these and how they are part of our cultivation, which will get us to our freedom.
samasta sukino bhavantu loka 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 samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu loka samasta sukino bhavantu loka samasta sukino bhavantu.
Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. May all beings transcend suffering. May all beings experience great healing. May all beings realize the truth within their heart and be set free. May our cultivation bring wise action to ourselves and to all those we meet. May we heal as one. Sat.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So mean.
Thank you all for being here
Thank you
today.
so much.